Hello there, my name is Thomas O'Regan, and over the last 3.5 years, me and my wife have built an 11 property portfolio. And there is one thing, or one of the things that has really made this possible is how I look at cash on cash returns in terms of investing in property. Now, there's a lot of different ways to look on cash on cash returns. Usually investors would say, okay, so I'm putting in $100,000 into this property and I'm getting $10,000 in positive cash flow. That means my cash on cash return is 10%. But I look at property portfolio growth a little bit differently when it comes to cash on cash return. Essentially, what I'm solving for in terms of cash on cash return is I'm looking to that capital that if I put in 100K for deposit and closing costs, all the costs to purchase the property, I'm effectively looking to get that money back as soon as possible. And for example, if you bought a property using the other example before and used $100,000, and in the first year you had $100,000 of cash flow, that would be 100% cash on cash return. Now, the way I sort of look at it is all I want to happen is I just want to acquire a property that is costing me no money to hold, meaning the cash flow. Ideally, yes, I want positive cash flow, but if it's neutral for me, that's okay as well. But what I want to do is I just want to get my capital back as quickly as possible, not from positive cash flow, but from actually refinancing the property. And now this is the system that I've used to grow my property portfolio to what it is so quickly. And the way it works is I buy a property, it's cash flowing positive, and then I pull out the equity. And what I'm looking for when I pull out the equity is to get the same amount of equity back out that I put in. So yes, for example, again, usually I use less money than this, but just to keep the example easy, if I put in $100,000 for deposit, closing costs, stamp duty, all that sort of stuff, when I refinance the property, sometimes in 2 weeks, sometimes in 3 weeks, sometimes in a year, sometimes in 2 years, what I'm looking to get out of that property is all my capital back. And for me, if that property is neutral cash flow, positive cash flow, I would call that an infinite return, because I'm effectively buying the property with my money and getting it back sometimes straight away. So effectively, the way I see it is I'm buying properties, it's costing me no money to purchase and no money to hold. So let me just be a bit more clear. So for example, if I give the bank $50,000, they get me that's a bad example, but effectively, if I use $50,000 to buy a property and then I get the $50,000 straight back, if I'm getting the $50,000 straight back in a time frame of 2 weeks or 3 months, I call that straight. I would say, yeah, that's straight back. If I'm getting the entire money I put into the property straight back, and then I'm able to use that capital to purchase the next property, and that property that I bought is cash flowing neutral, positive. The way I see it is I've just bought that property with no money. I've acquired a property and it's costing me no money. It cost me no money to buy it because I'm getting the money straight back, and it's costing me no money to hold it because the cash flow from the property, the rental income, is covering all the expenses after I refinance. That's what I call an infinite return, and that's what I'm talking about when I say cash on cash return. So, once again, if I put in $100,000 into a property and I get $100,000 back in a 6 months period, I just call that 100% cash on cash return in a 6 months period, and then I'm able to use that money to buy the next property, and then I just keep going on and on like that. And the more properties you get, the quicker you can do it, because you start from one property and you refinance that, and then you go into a second property, you refinance that, and then after you've done that with a few properties, and if the markets are still strong with the first properties bought, you can actually go back and pull out equity in the properties that you bought earlier on in your portfolio, and you can actually just keep on going faster and faster. And that's how me and my wife went from 1 property to 11 properties in a 3.5 year period. Hopefully that helped. And yeah, if you guys have any questions or haven't subscribed yet, just to subscribe. And I'll be doing these videos every day, just giving a few tips on how to invest in property and what I've learned in my experience. Okay, cheers guys, bye.